It is Sunday, the 27th of April, 2014. I'm in the middle of my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices and abuses in front of the Unitarian Church in Montreal. Just had a wonderful little chat with Montreal Unitarian Aurelian Aguirre, who just did a wonderful performance of showing how he and others like him are just incredibly willfully ignorant, deep psychological denial of the validity of my protest here. And yes, he did have to accuse me of being nuts, when in fact every single picket sign here is backed by an abundance of evidence supporting what says on it. So to me, he's basically he's accusing me of being seriously mentally ill. There's no question about it, and this is part of the problem. This is going back to the very beginning of this protest. It has to do with the fact that certain Montreal Unitarians did exactly that. Reverend Ray Drennan falsely accused me of being psychotic. And even after receiving not one, but two letters from a qualified psychiatrist who had examined me and who testified to finding no traces whatsoever of psychosis in me, he still refused to retract his words and so on. So there's two different kinds of nuts. There's nuts in terms of people who actually are seriously mentally ill, and yes, that's a very pejorative term, but I'm just saying, that nuts, crazy, etc., insane, words like that, they do refer to people who are suffering from serious mental illnesses. But the fact of the matter is, the very same words can be applied in a more general sense, in a sense of, crazy as in something that's just ridiculous, even though the person engaged in the crazy behavior may not be suffering from any serious mental illness, they are nonetheless nuts, crazy, insane. Classic example of that would be the batshit crazy blasphemous libel accusation that the Unitarian Universalist Association brought against me in June of 2012. I have no qualms about describing that blasphemous libel accusation as being a batshit crazy. In fact, I've used that term in several emails to UUA leaders about it. But crazy, insane, nuts, and so on is a perfect way to describe the fact that UUA leaders, the Peter Morales administration, so ultimately Reverend Peter Morales himself, but no doubt the UUA Executive Vice President, Kathleen K. Montgomery, was a major player in this. But Peter Morales, at minimum, he pretty well had to authorize it. In June of 2012, I was served with a arrogant and aggressive cease and desist demand letter written by Stikeman Elliott, Barristers and Solicitors, a litigation lawyer, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe. And in that letter, amongst other ridiculous accusations, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe wrote the following accusation towards the end of that letter. This is pretty well an exact quote from that letter, and here it goes. Your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are defamatory. And they're defamatory to such an extent that they constitute blasphemous libel. So essentially what's happening here is the Unitarian Universalist Association, through its Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors litigation lawyer, accused me of making false, that's what unfounded means, and vicious accusations to the effect that ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association commit crimes like pedophilia and rape. And they went on to assert that these alleged allegations of mine were so defamatory. They amounted to the archaic crime of blasphemous libel against the Unitarian Universalist religious community. They're accusing me of blaspheming against the Unitarian Universalist religious community because I've allegedly made false allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Well, there's a bit of a problem with all that. There's actually two major problems with that. The first problem is that the Unitarian Universalists, who I had accused of engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape on my Emerson Avenger blog, were Unitarian Universalists who'd actually been convicted of those crimes, sent to jail for those crimes. So my allegations were by no means unfounded, as alleged by the UUA via its Stikeman Elliott litigation lawyer. On the contrary, my allegations about Reverend Mac W. Mitchell and Norwell Unitarian Richard Buell were entirely truthful and based on news reports that were available on the internet. News reports in credible newspapers and so on. I'm not saying that there weren't other sources of information, but the fact of the matter is both the allegations in terms of Reverend Mac Mitchell and the allegations in terms of Richard Buell were fully supported by newspaper reports. So I'm not saying anything that you can't read in the newspaper. The fact of the matter is that I hadn't even said everything you could read in those newspapers, which is actually, some of it is very, very disturbing actually in terms of how the Unitarian Universalist Church responded to Reverend Mac Mitchell's egregious clergy sexual misconduct. There's evidence in those newspapers, at least one article, that the UUA tried to cover it up. I haven't actually got around to blogging about that, but it is a fact that according to some of the news reports, the UUA attempted to enter into a confidentiality agreement with one or more of the victims of Mac Mitchell's rape. Unfortunately, one of the members of the church of Reverend Mac Mitchell jumped the gun and reported the rapes to the police because she felt that it was the right thing to do. So this church member, or in fact I think it was a small group of church members, reported the fact that, or at least the allegations that Reverend Mac Mitchell had raped these teenage Tibetan refugees to the police, and subsequently Mac Mitchell was charged and convicted of rape. Well, the interesting thing is that these newspaper reports that are not available on the internet, you have to basically go to university libraries and such like to get that information, but it's there. The women who reported the rapes to the police, as they should have, were ostracized. They were ostracized by the other church members for doing the right thing. And that is only too common in cases of clergy misconduct. perhaps especially clergy sexual misconduct. You know, when somebody exposes clergy misconduct, very often a faction of the congregation, if not a majority of the congregation, will back the minister to the hilt. Will do everything they can to discredit the person trying to
What's the name of this church?
This church, it's the Unitarian Church of Montreal.
Oh, nice.
Right.
And what are the symbols there?
Well, those symbols up there are symbols of different religions. Taoism.
I know one.
The cross.
I know one.
Well, you should know 3 or 4 of them at least. But if you want, you have Taoism. You have.
I come from Peru.
Right.
And even 2,000 years ago,
Yeah.
there was it's like a square,
Right.
but it's cut like it's beveled, and it looks like a cross.
I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, the
called,
Inti Raymi thing.
No, it's called
No?
chacana.
Okay, Chacana. Okay, I don't know that one. But it's sort of like a square.
Yeah, it's a
Step.
square.
Yeah, it's like a steps, like
Yeah,
steps.
steps,
but it's
and
the
then
shape
the
of a cross.
side,
Yeah,
top,
yeah. I know
bottom,
about that
right,
symbol.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a solar symbol, solar cross symbol.
Yeah, it means like north, south.
Exactly,
and
the
then
directions.
fire,
Exactly.
water,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
It's a very common
Yeah.
symbol. But anyway, this is like Taoism, Christianity,
Oh, yeah.
humanism, which isn't necessarily a religion really, Islam, Sikhism,
Oh, Sikh.
yeah,
okay.
then Judaism, then Unitarian Universalism, then I think atheism, which again isn't really a religion.
What? It's a religion, atheism.
Atheism? Well, yeah, some people, there's some very devout atheists.
No, because they are close-minded. They don't want to hear nothing.
I see. So basically, in order to be a religion, you have to be closed-minded. Okay, that's good to know. Anyway, to continue, then you have the pentagram for paganism. Then you have the Om symbol for Hinduism, and then the far right, I believe it's for Native American spirituality. The one between the pentagram and the atheism, I'm not sure, but it might be Jainism. Anyway, they're basically saying, that all the religions and even atheists and humanists should live in harmony and should live together. But they don't want to live in harmony with me.
Oh, okay. No,
they're not trying very hard to live in harmony.
I was reading. You made a blog, right?
Yes, I made a blog. Yes.
Yeah. I was checking that out.
Oh, okay.
Because I went to find out.
Right. Well, that's good. That's what's called a free and responsible search for.
What was the beginning? You saw something, but where it was?
I didn't see anything. I had an experience. Which basically included a lot of, basically it started with a feeling of God's presence, so a feeling of the Spirit of God, but then as part of that, very strange coincidences.
Oh yeah?
So very unusual, to the point where it's not chance, it's not
like one place, it's many places.
Yeah, different coincidences at different times and places, but the point being is that you come to the conclusion that these coincidences are not by accident, that something is influencing the event.
Yeah, exactly.
We usually call that God.
Exactly.
So that was my experience, and I tried to share that. I was labeled psychotic, nuts, crazy, whatever. I tried to arrange an interreligious event that brought the different religions together, with an emphasis on care for the environment. Because part of the experience was that we're destroying the earth, and that basically bad things can and will happen if we continue on that path. So I tried to organize this. The atheist minister who came in after I initially joined, he labeled the interreligious event a cult. He labeled me psychotic. When I complained, instead of dealing with it, they kicked me out of the church and so on. The usual stuff.
Okay, because those experiences that many people do different ways.
It's basically a shamanistic type experience.
Sometimes it's like they see something in there.
Yeah. Right? I didn't see any vision.
No?
It was I saw nothing like a vision. What I saw was very, very strange actual coincidences.
Oh, okay.
Very strange things happen.
Okay, so it's a series of coincidences, not one thing.
Yeah, not this one. Yeah, a whole bunch. Yeah.
For me, it was like one. Well, I dream more when I was younger.
Right.
Now I dream less, but still, when I dream, it's really weird.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
One time I felt that where it's very strange. I was how do you say, my
out of body experience?
No, I don't know.
Well, did you feel like you came out of your body?
No, I was laying on the ground, face down.
Right.
And the dream began when I was waking up and there was sand. Right. I could feel the sand even in my mouth. And I had to spit it out. It was so realistic.
Right.
And then far away, I was seeing a city, and it was fire.
Right.
There was a lot of people crying, children and women.
Right.
Everybody, and they had, I think it was some kind of a Mediterranean place, but they were not like urban. It was like 2,000 years ago. They looked like that.
Right.
Maybe to this day, maybe they look like that. So anyways, it was far away, let's say 3 blocks. So I could see a little bit, but there was fire and like smoke, a lot of smoke. And then I was like, what am I doing there? And anyways, I think I was too weak to move. But anyways, a lot of people were moving except one.
Right.
One person was just standing there, and he had like a white robe. And then he just started walking towards me. Right. But I said, he's walking somewhere, you know? He's not moving, he's not panicking, he's calm. But then I noticed he was walking exactly towards me.
Right.
He was like walking. Right. And it was like a good, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then I started a little panic. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't move because I was face down. Right. And then I saw part of his face. He has a beard and long hair, brown, but he looks like somebody that it was shown in pictures when I was a kid. Yeah. But he never said the name, nothing. Right. And then he walked and walked and walked. And then that's when I felt that something, it was like a holy man. Yeah. So he was like maybe 2 meters from me, and then he said 2 phrases. He said that I must find my people, and I should go to church. Right. But he didn't say what church. Right. He didn't say,
that's confusing sometimes.
Yeah, but then and then I started crying because I felt he was not like anybody else. He was like something like a, I don't know, holy man, something. Yeah. But he never said like he was or no names.
He didn't give no names.
No names at all. Yeah. Okay, and then when I woke up, I was on my back. Right. And then I stand up. Right. But it was like the opposite, because in my dream I was all face down. It was like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, I got that.
And then I already had fears, even before waking up.
Yeah. Like, that can be, I would consider that a type of religious experience. You know, like dreams, not every dream, but certain dreams are almost like a vision, you know, and can be considered a kind of message. When did this happen?
It was like maybe 10 years ago.
Okay, so a while ago,
10 years ago. But then other coincidences happened. Let's say in that period I was accepting God, rejecting God, accepting God, rejecting God. Yeah. And there was one, I was in the shopping mall and I said, you know what, you know, this is crap. And
a lot of it is.
But the difference is now I'm saying the words, but I don't mean it. Back then, I was really, you know what, you know, this Jesus crap, and who knows, you know. And then, at the moment, I was in the shopping mall, and I had it was like a cross, it was like the Christian cross. But then, I was reaching out, because you could put like a chain or something like that, it broke. It was like, what's the meaning of that, you know, it broke. Right. It's like, you're breaking your faith, something like that.
It can be seen that way. It might mean.
But why at that moment? You know, it could have broken before. It could have broken later. So those are the kind of coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can have a meaning.
So yeah, I think you understand.